Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Adrienne Montgomery. I'm with ERP VAR. Today we're going to be talking about Sage 100 Cloud and automating order processing with an integrated e-commerce, warehouse management, shipping, and payment solution. We're going to get started here. Just a couple housekeeping notes. If you look on the webinar pane right next to your name, there's a hand button and there's a question mark button. If you should have any questions throughout the presentation, we just ask that you go ahead and click on that question mark button, and a dialog box will open up where you can go ahead and key in your question. And we're going to reserve the announcing of those questions until the end of the webinar. And once again, thank you so much for joining us. Today I'm joined by Clear9, Craig Jacobs. He's the president. Scanco, Andrew Neal, software sales specialist. Starship, Matt St. John, sales executive. And Patty Benitez, Vice President of Channel over at American Payment Solutions. And just a little bit about the companies here. Clear9 has been working with Sage 100 since the late 80s. They're very passionate about web stores, and they give a unique blend of the skills ideal for Sage 100 web integration and those companies that are using Sage 100 for their web and a web store. We're also joined by Scanco. They're a Sage OEM partner and leader in WMS applications for Sage 100 since 1989. They meet the needs of thousands of distribution and manufacturing companies, and they offer their solution on an iOS, Android, or Windows device so that those warehouse personnel and manufacturing job floor personnel can interact with Sage 100 in real time with those remote devices. And also, we're joined by Starship. They're a Sage Gold Development Partner since 1989. They've been providing integrated shipping solutions. They also have 17+ experience years with the full spectrum of Sage products. They have very close relationships with the carriers and related applications like Scanco with integrations. They also have several EDI partners like TrueCommerce, SPS Commerce. And they're definitely one of the market share leaders for shipping software in both the Sage space, the Dynamics space, and we're also joined by American Payment Solutions. They're a full-service merchant services provider. They serve thousands of small, medium, and large organizations. They have a very tight integration with Sage 100 where they work with the credit card processors and serving up level 3 credit card processing information so that they can get you the best rate on those credit card processing transactions. And just a little bit about the workflow before we get started here. We're going to be talking about how an order comes into Sage 100 Cloud, and customers can place and track their own orders self-service via the website 24/7. And how that order goes back into Sage 100, and Scanco picks all the details of the orders up for automating the picking and packing process out on the warehouse. And then Starship picks the details up of all of the package information to automate the shipping, small parcel, and LTL with picking the right carrier based on all the rules of the shipment. And then American Payment Solutions picks up all those details and gets the best rate with level 3 credit card processing and automatic PCI DSS compliance. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Craig so he can get us started with showing us how an order comes in to the Clear9 web store. Thank you, Craig.
Sure. Thanks, Adrienne. Okay. Yeah, I'm Craig Jacobs with Clear9. So we've been in business for almost 10 years now. And we specialize in building integrated web applications for Sage 100. We also specialize in integrating external data sources with Sage 100. So basically anything that has an interface we can talk to, we can use that to get data into and out of Sage in real time and seamlessly. So I'm going to go ahead and jump in here. So one of the things we're actually pretty excited about is WordPress. So we've fairly recently been working more and more with WordPress. So we have a really deep WordPress integration for applications. And some of the benefits of that are that there's tens of thousands, if not more, templates that are available, all the plugins that are available, the benefits for marketing and search engine optimization, and all the tools that are available there. So just wanted to mention the WordPress aspect. So As we're going through the demo, one thing to keep in mind that our design philosophy is that you manage all of your catalog data in one place. So everything on the website that you see that has anything to do with items, categories, items, pricing, and also invoices and sales orders and all of that stuff, that's all managed exclusively in the Sage. So there's no putting items in Sage and then going over to the web backend to put in descriptions or change images or anything like that. So I'll just jump into a category here. We use a module called InSync to pull orders and customer information and things from the website, and then also keep the website updated with inventory, availability, sales order history, invoice history, open invoices, et cetera, et cetera. And in addition to doing the data synchronization, the InSync module also allows us to manage things like category trees and which items we want to have available on the website. So all the category information is in sync as well. So for example, this is pretty much our standard basic catalog template. We have a category tree here, so you can jump to any category or subcategory. These are all Sage 100 inventory items. We do allow items to exist in more than one category at a time, so you could have an item that's in its primary category, maybe it's in a sale category or new products category. And so this description, this image, and this price are all coming directly from Sage. So I could click this and go into the item. We also have a persistent site-wide search. So you can just start typing an item number and get a list and go into the item that way as well. This is what we call our item detail page. So we have, the item description. This is the main item image from Sage. We support up to 5 additional images. Pricing. Pricing is key. We do pricing the same way that sales order entry does pricing. So for example, as in this case, if you have quantity price breaks, we will show that. We calculate prices, based on price levels and price codes. We can do customer specific pricing, pricing by total quantity, and even price level override by customer price code. And in addition to that, we support a lot of other standard features of Sage, like purchase restrictions. So if you're using purchase restrictions internally, this customer either can or can't purchase this group of items or these product lines, the website supports that as a standard feature. We pull availability from the specified warehouse or warehouses. We add a number of fields into item maintenance so that you can maintain your long description and details right within inventory management. We show related items, which is pulled from the alternate item functionality and item maintenance. And then we also allow up to 5 document attachments, PDFs, Word documents. These can be material safety data sheets, marketing slicks, etc. So I'm going to go ahead and log in, and I want you to pay attention to the pricing. So when I log in, note that the pricing and the quantity price breaks have changed, and that's because I've logged in as a user that has price level 1 pricing. And so we can support both B2C and B2B with the same site, and we have a number of configuration options there because wholesalers will see their price and retail customers will see their price. Now, once I'm logged in, I have access to all of my customer information. I can see my constant information. I can see balances and aging. I can see orders. I can drill into an order and look at all the detail on the order. We also have the ability to add all the items on this order to the cart again. So it's a shorthand way for a customer to order stuff they've ordered before. If the order's been completed, the invoice is also available, or invoices. And we have an integration with Paperless Office. So if you're keeping copies of invoices and sales orders, we can synchronize that with the website, and then the customer can fetch those from the website when they're logged in securely. We have a number of other views here. For demo purposes, we have all of them turned on. We wouldn't normally have all these turned on for a given site, but we do have a standalone view of invoices. We have more of an accounting view of invoices, which has due dates, amounts, and balances. We have a standard feature that we can turn on or off that allows for online bill pay. So for example, a customer can come in here and they can select a couple of invoices. They can click on Pay Invoice, enter their credit card information. Oops. I need an extra 1 there, I think. then I can click Pay Now. And what this will do, this will actually go out to American Payments and do a sale, bring back transaction information, and create a cash receipts entry in Sage. So I could go into Sage, go into cash receipts entry, update the cash receipts journal, and post it, and that will pay off those invoices in Sage. And once that happens, these invoices here that are marked as pending will go from pending to a zero balance, showing that they're paid. So there's that. So there's a couple of other key features that I wanted to talk about, and that being we have a salesperson portal. So you can actually log on as a salesperson and manage your customers. So I can select a customer here. Like I can search for a customer. Maybe I want to look at Breslin. Okay. And then I can go look at Breslin's information. I can look at their invoices. I can look at their orders. I can look at their aging balances, etc. And I can also place an order for them. So let's change customers. Okay. And one of the other nice features we have is we actually have an order entry module. So, you know, I can browse the catalog and find items, put them in my shopping cart. I can pull up a pre-existing order and order that again, or I can actually type in an order. So I can just start typing a partial part number or description. And then I can just type a couple of items here. And so this is persistent, so I could leave this and come back, and then when I'm ready to go, I can just click checkout. And since I'm logged in, it already knows everything about me. So it's pulled all the customer information from Sage. I can update this information if I want to here, and then that'll actually update the customer back in Sage. That's an option. We can turn that feature off. It knows about all of my on-file ship-to addresses from Sage. I can pick one, I can add a new one, I can edit one. And again, we can turn that off if you don't want people adding new addresses. We do have an optional integration with FedEx and UPS. So here we're going out to UPS based on the weights and volumes of the items, and we're getting shipping estimates back. We do add an order comments box so that people can, you know, send in information like, you know, something like that. Okay. And then I can go to this page, I can verify it, and then I can enter credit card information. And so what this is going to do is this is going to create, this is going to get an authorization from American Payments, and it's going to send that authorization and all that credit card information, including address verification, into Sage with the sales order. So with that, I can go ahead and submit the order. And right now it's getting an authorization. It was recalculating freight. That's the order number. So we generate the order number on the website. That's the same order number that you end up with within Sage software. I can go into sales order entry and paste that order number there. And the order is there from the website. There's the items that we ordered. Here's the totals with the freight and with the comment that we put in on the website. And we do mark all orders as being a web order. And so this facilitates, you know, reports and lists. So if you want to make an F2 lookup for web orders or write a report or crystal report or anything like that. And then here's all the credit card AVS information that came in for the system. So now we have an order that's in the system, and it's ready to be picked and packed. So I will now hand it over to Andrew to show you how all the warehouse stuff works.
Great, thank you very much. And so again, my name is Andrew Neal, and so what we're going to go ahead and what I'm going to show you here today is how ScanCo can go ahead and take that order that was just gone ahead and created, and how from the actual facility itself, go ahead and pick, pack, and actually ship out that product. So the actual sales order has already been created. So right here, as what I have on my right-hand side of the screen, is our Warehouse 100 application that downloads right onto a iOS and or Android device. So what we will go ahead and do is we would have our scanner, and our user in our facility will go ahead, and on our bottom left-hand corner down here, we have our picking icon. As you can go ahead and see here, we have a lot of icons right here. They're very fat finger friendly, as we like to say, so it's very easy to navigate through the software. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and select my picking icon, at which point in time, what we want to go ahead and do is we're going to go ahead and select our order picking. And just as what we want to go ahead and do now is we're going to go ahead and follow the prompts. So what warehouse are we actually picking in? It's automatically going to go ahead and default to your primary warehouse that you have in Sage. At which point in time, what we're going to go ahead and do now is when we pick this item from its actual physical bin, now once we go ahead and pick that, what we're going to go ahead and do is stage that in our shipping area to be shipped out. Now, the next prompt that we go ahead and have here is our sales order prompt. Now, it's important to note that what we can go ahead and do, we can either type our order number in here, as we can go ahead and see there's a keyboard on the screen. We can go ahead and scan the sales order as that's the most fast and efficient way. Or what we also have at the top of the screen is a magnifying glass. And with that magnifying glass, what that allows the user to go ahead and do is drill down into all the available sales orders that are in the Sage system. So there's a lot of flexibility in being able to go ahead and being able to enter in this information. So for today's purposes, I'm going to go ahead and type in my sales order number that I want to begin to pick. Once we go ahead and do that, what you're going to go ahead and notice on the screen, it's going to go ahead and tell me how many lines are on the order, how many lines are in the particular warehouse that we're picking in, and how many have already been picked versus how many are left to pick. So what the user will go ahead and do is say okay in this instance, and now what it's going to go ahead and do is direct us to our bin in order to collect our information. So what it's telling us right now is it's telling us we need to go to bin A100-10 and we need to scan item number 6655. Now, what I want to go ahead and do is I also, just for demonstration purposes, because we're validating against the actual physical sales order, when we go up to a particular item, let's say that I want to go ahead and I accidentally scan a wrong item. If I scan the wrong item, what you're going to go ahead and notice is that it's going to go ahead and prompt that it's an invalid entry and to go ahead and rescan the correct item. By doing this and validating against the actual sales order, we are decreasing the amount of mispicks. Therefore, the missed shipments are going to be cut down as well. So let's go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and scan my correct item at this point in time. And now what it's going to go ahead and tell me is I need to go ahead, there's a quantity to pick versus the quantity picked. So it's going to go ahead and tell me I need to pick 20 of this item 6655. So I'll go ahead, pick those 20 items, hit done, and then it'll go ahead and take me to my next item. Now with my next item, as you're going to go ahead and see here, it's item number 8971. Now this is a lotted item. So we work with all different types of valuations in Sage. So it doesn't matter if you're using just standard items, lotted items, or even serialized items. Depending on the type of item that you have evaluated in Sage, once you go ahead and scan that item, now what it's going to go ahead and do is prompt you for the lot information. So again, I can go ahead and hit my lookup to go ahead and even go as far as showing the available lots that I have in my warehouse. So I'll go ahead and say, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and select this lot. I'll go ahead and pick the 10 that are required for this order, and I will hit done. Once I go ahead and do that, we are finished with our order, and then it's going to go ahead and ask us if we want to submit this into processing, in which I'm going to go ahead and say yes. Once I go ahead and do that, it's going to go ahead and say success. And so now what we want to go ahead and envision is we've gone ahead and picked these products, and now they are staged in our shipping area. So what we're going to go ahead and do now is our shipping icon. So this may be the same user, it may be a different user, but what we would go ahead and do is right here, we're going to go ahead and automate the transaction and send it into shipping data entry. So I'll go ahead and hit my shipping icon. We're going to go into shipping right here. And we work in the same exact flow that Sage works. So just as Sage goes ahead and asks you for a shipper ID, we want to go ahead and collect the shipper ID as far as who is actually shipping the order. Again, we can go ahead and type in our order number. And now what it's going to go ahead and do is it's going to go ahead and say, we want to go ahead and collect our box level detail, which is a very important part. So in this demonstration, what I'm going to go ahead and show you is how we're going to go ahead and pack all of item 6655 into our first box, and then that box is going to go ahead and be full. So what we're going to go ahead and do is create a second box, creating that box level detail, and we'll finish the rest of that items in that second box. So right here, I'll go ahead, I'm going to say OK. I'm going to go ahead and scan my item. And now I want to go ahead and ship the 20 out. So once I type in the 20 that are in there, I'll go ahead and say OK. And now I want to go to my next item. If I wanted to go ahead and look at the review on the top part right here again, I can go ahead and see that I have what's left on that order, which is our allotted item, that 8971. So what I'll go ahead and do here is I'm going to hit this options menu right on this right top hand point right here. By doing so, what you'll notice is there is a next box feature right down here. By selecting that next box, it's going to take that box level detail to 2. And now I want to scan my second item. So I'll go ahead, I'll scan my second item. I need to capture the lot information. Now, the really cool thing about this is if we go ahead and hit that magnifying glass again, what you're going to notice is that this January 12 is highlighted green. That's because when we were actually picking during that process and we were validating against that sales order, what we were doing right then is allocating it to this sales order. So as you can go see here is the 10 that are allocated to this sales order, in which I can go ahead and just select that. At this point in time, all I just need to do is confirm the amount of the item that I'm actually shipping out, hit done, at which point in time, now I want to send this information into Sage. Once I send this information into Sage and it reads as a success, what I can do now is tap into my shipping data entry. I'm going to go type in my shipper ID. And we can go and see that we have our order number 218, as said right here. We have our items 6655 and the 20 that were picked. We can go ahead and see that the package level detail is 001. And then the package level detail on our allotted item, we can see that it's 002. So we have the 2 box level details. And at this point in time, this is where Starship will go and pick up this information. And at this point in time, I'll go ahead and hand it off to Matt.
All right, thank you, Andrew. Share my screen here. And as Andrew just mentioned, as soon as you're done with the scanning part of that, and it makes the entry automatically inside a shipping data entry, from there, Starship will actually grab that information. So we do have 2 different interfaces. We can actually stay inside a shipping data entry, and what we'll do is add a Starship button in that field where your shipper can then just click Starship. It will open up Starship, pass the information. They then can ship and process, get their shipping documents, and move back into shipping data entry. Kind of jumping back and forth. So we also have what we call our business object interface or direct interface. I always usually recommend this interface because, as you're going to see, as a shipper, I can actually work directly inside a Starship. Okay, so technically, if I have shipping machines set up, shipping stations, I don't even need to have Sage installed on that same workstation. So my shipper really doesn't need to access Sage at all. Okay. Starship's multi-carrier, multi-mode. So we can do parcel, we can do LTL, and again, it's right from the Starship program. So as you can see, upper left-hand side, we have our source document. So with Starship, we can pull by invoice number, sales order, or by customer number. With the ScanCo integration, the document type would need to be set to invoice because, as Andrew just showed you, it does create the entry inside shipping data entry in Sage, where Sage automatically will assign an invoice number. So if I tried to use a sales order number as the document type here, it would give me a message that would say, hey, this order is currently being shipped. So with ScanCo, we just set this to invoice, and then we have an enhancement that will still allow me to use that sales order number. That's probably what's going to be barcoded on your pick sheet or whatever you're shipping against. So just like ScanCo, we can manually type it in. We have the magnifying glass lookup, or of course, using just a regular wedge type scanner, I can scan that barcode. Again, that could be the source as the sales order number, and Starship's automatically just going to relate it to that invoice number that Sage has created. Okay. Starship's going to pull an order header as well as the line item detail information. So really what we're doing is mapping fields from Sage. We can pass back, of course, all the shipping information as well as additional information back into Sage. Now, map fields can have a one-to-many relationship. So based off the ship via, in this case, it's going to go UPS, Starship knows to automatically select the carrier, the service, the billing type, of course, account information. So we can automate third-party shipments, or if you're doing collect shipments, you know, those mapping fields really help streamline the whole shipping process. The sender, of course, that's the company we're pulling the order from inside of Sage. Starship does support multiple companies as well as warehouses and or locations. And then the recipient, of course, that's the ship to from that sales order. Starship will also do address validation. We do validate ZIP+4, and we are also going to validate the commercial residential flag. So going to help save on those address correction fees as well as the commercial residential correction fee. Down in the packaging view, I'm just going to expand my items. So this is really the nice thing with using ScanCo and defining your shipment on that handheld scanner. However you define it on the handheld scanner, that's how Starship's going to pull it in. Okay, so I have my items in box 1 and box 2. The item description, that's what I'm actually setting here in that packaging view. If I wanted to, I could actually see the item number. Totally up to you. You have plenty of options for that. But with the custom box here, Starship has a database where we can store all your, if you use certain type of boxes, you could set those up. So here I just selected a medium box. Nice thing with setting up and using custom boxes, and this could be bags, bales, pallets, what have you. As you can see here, once they're set up, the dimensions will automatically populate for my shipper. So Starship also will take into consideration and return dim weight as well. I know dimensional weight now is a big deal with UPS and FedEx. Nice thing if you ever think about giving USPS a try, nice thing is that you don't have to worry about dimensional weights or even residential or fuel surcharges. And actually with our USPS module, we do offer some discounted rates. But with the dimensional weights, Starship will return that. So if this had a different dim weight compared to the actual weight, it would display here. Most clients, they have a scale hooked up. Just for the sake of the demo, I'm just pulling weights from Sage. But with the item detail, click on my line item here, Starship also has its own database for your inventory items. It's automatically going to start storing them if you'd like. Reason we do this because inside of Sage, you know, they don't have a spot right now for the NMFC code or freight class. I know starting in version 2017, they started adding the commodity code. But as you can see here, Starship can store all that information. Schedule B, harmonizer, commodity code, we actually have that lookup right here. So if I was missing this, as a shipper, I could quickly look up by code or by description. And then, of course, once I add this information, it's automatically going to be there for next time. Okay. Next step, usually now, if we need to rate shop, we can click the green dollar icon or go to the rate shop tab. So the way Starship works, we actually make the call directly to your carrier. So UPS, FedEx, we have over 20 different LTL carriers. So we send them your account information, and we are going to return your live negotiated rates that you have with the carrier. Okay? It is a live rate. There's no pricing tables. There's no staging tables. So if tomorrow UPS decided to up a fuel surcharge, you would automatically gain access to that new rate. Okay? So as you can see here, I'm going to see all the different carriers that I have modules with. Just being a demo system, I have UPS, FedEx set up here. I'm going to be able to see estimated delivery. I can change this, go by business days or total days. And again, I can also see contract, or if I wanted to, I could actually see the list or published rate that the carrier offers. Right? With Starship, we can also get into automating this process as well and setting up what we call ship via rules. So ship via rules, you can simply say, hey, Starship, automatically rate shop this shipment and select the maybe least expensive carrier and or service. You know, those criteria are really up to you. Okay, so again, just another way we can streamline that shipping process, one less thing my shipper has to worry about. On the charges tab, to actually ship this, I don't have to click on this charge tab, but I like to show it because with Starship, you can also set up freight rules. So I don't, you know, if any of you offer free shipping over X amount of dollars, maybe you want to give certain customers a discount on freight, we can most certainly handle that. These freight rules can be percentages, min, maxes, flat rates. What I call the triggers can go all the way down to the line item detail. So if you do any oversized items, you can even do a rule that says, hey, anytime item 1, 2, 3, 4 is on an order, automatically add $20. You know, here I'm actually just using a user-defined field called freight discount. Lives inside of Sage. a checkbox. So because it's selected, this customer is receiving a 10% discount. And when I'm ready to actually ship and process this order, I can actually click the ship and process or the F5 key. As soon as I do that, I will get my shipping documents. You also have the option of saving a shipment. So maybe I was staging one. I didn't want to quite get all my shipping documents ready yet. I could start the process, save it, and then come back to this order later to actually do the full ship and process. But once I click ship and process, I'm going to get all my shipping documents. Normally these will go right to a printer, but again, for the sake of the demo, I'm just sending them to PDF. I'm also using our smart label. So as you can see here, the smart label will print the shipping label and the packing list together. So this would go to a laser printer. With Starship, you have the option. We'll certainly can send your shipping label to a thermal printer. And if you wanted to use our packing list, that can also go to a thermal printer. So if you want to save some paper, use the free labels you get from your carrier, you can do that. Or you can also send the packing list to a laser printer if needed. And because this was an international order, I will get all my international documents. The same thing for LTL. Starship can generate bill of lading forms, pallet labels, so on and so forth. So I'm going to populate all the order header, line item detail on those documents for you. And documents can be customized. So maybe I want this pre-signed and dated. I could set that up. On these documents, you can set up unlimited templates. On each template, you can assign printing rules. So maybe you want to print a certain form for a certain customer. You can most certainly do that, and then have that form print when, hey, say the order's for customer ABC. Okay, NAFTA form. All right, but again, ship and process, get my shipping documents. Now as a shipper, I'm just in that rinse repeat cycle. Going to move on, probably scan my next pick ticket, scan that sales order number, and get my labels for that next shipment. Just to switch gears here and put on a different hat, we'll just jump back into Sage, and I'll quickly show you the right back. Go into invoice data entry here, and go to my last invoice. So sales order 218, the one we just shipped, here on the header tab, I can go in here, click the tracking button. So we're writing back tracking and freight information right into Sage's table. So this is going to stay in through history, basically be there until you purge the data. I can also use Sage's tracking button. That item to box detail, I can use their item to box zoom. Okay. Again, writing right into the tables. And then of course on the totals tab, I'm going to write back the freight. With the freight amount, that's plus or minus any freight rules. We can also do write back rules. So kind of as Craig showed, maybe if you charge freight on your website, we can simply set up a rule that says, hey, don't overwrite any freight value on this invoice. And then the freight cost from Starship, that's actually just a user-defined field I set up. Nice thing with Starship, again, we can take additional information and pass it back into user-defined fields. So here I'm always passing what my freight costs, so what UPS was going to charge me for this. And then I can use that as a last kind of quality control check. Oh, why did we short ourselves on this one? Customer received a discount. They shouldn't have. They should have been charged $115. Right. And then real quick, a couple other features that are included with Starship is our e-notification program. E-notify, very simple, create templates that you can send to your customer. It's going to give them the breakdown of their order and what was shipped. The tracking numbers are hyperlinked on these. And just go right into here. So as you can see, quick template I designed. Let the customer know your shipment's on its way, item to box detail, number of packages, estimated delivery date, so on and so forth. And of course, our reporting tool is dashboard. So we have some performance indicators here. We have a bunch of canned reports, from anywhere from daily history reports to late delivery, all the way down to charge comparison reports. So you can actually run that report, and it's going to give you the plus or minus on all your shipments. Make sure you're not losing money. So basically going to compare it to what you charge the customer and to what the carrier is going to charge you, right? And dashboard, e-notify, and I showed you that rate shopping from inside of Sage, but we also add a rate quote button right inside of sales order entry. So at time of order, my customer service reps can actually rate shop as well. But dashboard, e-notify, and this rate quote, nice thing is they are included and they do not require any additional seats or licenses. And with that, that's what I wanted to show you. So I'll pass this on to Patty so she can show you how easily it is to collect credit card payment on your orders.
Thank you so much, Matt. And Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your time today and allowing us to present our solutions. Really, what we'd like to show is an all-around solution for all of your requirements within Sage. And the beginning, of course, would be with Clear9 and making sure that your orders are processed properly, automated through the website without any glitches or any issues. And we work with ScanCo and making sure that your warehouse and the scanning solution is completely automated as well. And then not to mention being able to deliver all of your items with rate shop and complete automation, security, compliance through B-Technology Starship. Now, at the end of the day, what we're looking for is, of course, satisfied customers and being able to get paid for our products and services. That's where we come in. Now, a lot of the items in the fields that are being collected by the companies that are being presented today, Clear9, ScanCo, and Starship, a lot of these fields are used with credit card processing in order to obtain the lowest rates in the industry for you, our merchants. So let me explain how that happens. It's a product or a program called Level 3 Processing that was offered by the card brands. And I'll show you exactly what the fields required are in order to get up to 43% savings on your current rates and fees. You have to do nothing extra. You have to do nothing different within your workflow process. And you simply, by processing with American Payment Solutions, gain a savings of an average of 43% on your credit card processing rates and fees. Not to mention the fact that if you are processing through Clear9, you also have that Level 3 functionality. So let's jump right into what exactly is Level 3 and how this can help your company. Now, you can see on the screen a little bit about American Payment Solutions. Would love to give you more details, but I'd like to just jump right into Level 3. Now, first and foremost, I'd like to begin by explaining that the different fee structures may limit you from obtaining Level 3 rates. Many people are happy with flat rates, and it's really good, very straightforward. You understand the reporting functionality. However, you will miss out on any programs that the card brands are putting in place specifically for you to save money on the rates that you're being charged. So be very careful when you do choose a flat rate. Make sure you shop the processor. Make sure you ask another processor what their fees would be if they were not flat rates and if they were using Interchange Plus, for example. If you decide that maybe you prefer tiered pricing is very dangerous because you do negotiate rates with your processor, and the rates will fall into different buckets. So they have fully, mid, and non-qualified types of transactions. What we find when we analyze statements that are coming from tiered pricing customers is that the majority of the transactions fall under the non-qualified bracket. And when we ask the merchant what exactly is the criteria behind the qualification, they don't know the answer. So it's very dangerous. It's really held by the processor, controlled by the processor, where the processor can decide at any moment in time a transaction is not qualified, and therefore the merchant is getting the very highest rates available, which doesn't really make any sense. Now, Interchange Plus, as I mentioned previously, this is the question you should always ask. Interchange Plus is basically offering to pass the hard costs from the card brands directly to the merchant. And then the processor can negotiate a markup fee or a transaction fee. Now, that negotiated rate is to the merchant's fullest advantage because at that point you can take those rates and compare them to different processors. Also, with Interchange Plus, because you're getting the hard costs from the card brands, immediately you can also qualify your transactions for Level 3. So what exactly is required for Level 3 processing? Basically, any business-to-business or business-to-government transaction being processed within the continental U.S. will allow you to qualify for Level 3 rates. Now, Level 3 is not known as much as it should be, and it has been available for 6 years. Just so you get an idea, the average savings is $18,000 per year. I've seen a savings of over $112,000 per year. And it surprises me every time I mention this to a merchant because they're not aware of it. These are the fields that are required for Level 3 processing, as you can see here. The fields on the far right are being collected not only by Clear9, but also by ScanCo and Starship. Now, we can also collect them directly from Sage. There are several fields that are not available out of the box, and we actually created user-defined fields. But if you're already thinking of working with any of the products that were presented today, they too will help us with the level 3 data. So let Sage do the heavy lifting. Let these solutions do the heavy lifting for you. Once I show you a sample of an analysis where we offer the level 3 savings, you'll understand why. These analyses with level 3 savings will actually help you offset the cost of any of the individual products that were presented today. So this is a good example here. It had, this particular merchant was under tiered structure, and notice how we were able to save them almost $1,400 per month, averaging close to $17,000 a year. They had to do nothing different. They were able to purchase the third-party product that would help them take advantage of level 3, and they could continue their same process within Sage. Nothing to change in their workflow process. So I just wanted to point that out. I'm going to jump right into Sage 100 and show you how simple it is. And then I'd also like to talk to you about the new feature available within American Payment Solutions and the Sage 300 integration called Click to Pay. So for those of you, let me just begin there. For those of you that use paperless Office currently, what we've added is a Pay Now button right within the paperless Office invoice. So it will allow your customers to click on the Pay Now button and submit their payment. The payment will flow right into accounts receivable cash receipts. And this is basically where we would set it up in Library Master Company Maintenance. Now, American Payment Solutions not only offers credit card processing, but also ACH processing and, again, the Click to Pay. We would turn on the level 3 processing for you as well as enable it to process through Click to Pay. If you do decide to use Click to Pay, you can choose to opt in by customer or opt out by customer. Now, the user-defined fields that I mentioned may not be available out of the box within Sage. We created them here. That way, we are sure to provide Visa and MasterCard with all of the required data. And no matter what type of card you're processing, we're going to check to find out if it qualifies for level 3 rates. Your rates can go down from 2.65 to 1.85 simply by processing through American Payment Solutions, and American Payment Solutions providing the level 3 data that will qualify you for the rate. So once the software is installed, if you're currently using the Sage Payments / now known as Paya, we can migrate the credit card information over to our vault, so you won't have to rekey in the information. We follow Sage's guidelines as far as your existing security settings, your user count. The credit card information is basically still kept in customer maintenance, so you could add as many cards as you'd like within customer maintenance per customer. We also have an email address, and I'll show you on the next tab, but let me just go through a quick sales order. We allow you to process transactions individually or in batches. You can pre-authorize transactions or complete transactions once those transactions are brought into the system by Clear9. So you can pre-authorize through Clear9 and then finalize the transaction within Sage, completely automated, ladies and gentlemen. And through Starship, for example, if you rate shopped, the actual shipping fee will also appear for you, and you can finalize the transaction with the freight charge amount included. You can process direct captures at the sales order level, or, as I mentioned, pre-authorize. So in this case, let's just pre-authorize a transaction. If I submit the card, you'll notice it's going to show you the default credit card from within Sage. Now, depending on the security settings, your user will be able to add a card on the fly anywhere that we're giving them credit card access. They can also edit cards or choose from a list of cards. So if your customer is not wanting to use their Visa, instead they want to use the MasterCard, you can definitely have the user switch cards. You'll also notice an email address which is linked to each individual card. This email address will receive a receipt when you complete a transaction. Now, I haven't showed you the Click to Pay. I'm going through a quick transaction within Sage, but after this transaction, I will walk you through Click to Pay. Notice how we're pre-filling the amount of the transaction as well as referencing a sales order number. I'm going to go ahead and submit my card. We're going to verify the information you provided is a match. The transaction is going through our gateway. If everything is correct, you will receive a transaction ID, and the transaction has been pre-authorized. This transaction ID is generated by the APS Pays portal, and we'll follow the transaction from now on within Sage. It's also an excellent means for you to cross-reference the transaction between the portal and Sage. So if there's ever any situation where you're not able to process directly from Sage, you can process from the portal itself. And I just want to show you a quick peek of the portal and show you what the transaction looks like. Now, this is the APS Pays portal. As you can see, you can process the different transactions from the portal. If you do decide to process from here, the only setback is you have to type in all of the required data, which becomes available to you if you're using Clear9, B-Technology, Scanco. All of it is already in Sage for you. You can also set up for recurring invoices, add new customers, and you can create different reports. Now, there are thousands of reports available from our portal. We've added one specific report to the Sage menu that everybody always requests, so you don't have to step outside of Sage to obtain the batch report, and you can always get it directly from Sage. You can always get it from our portal as well, and you can see there's an immense amount of sorting criteria available to you. This is where we would actually set you up to auto batch. And if you batch out by 9 p.m. Eastern, the funds will be available in your bank account the next morning within 11 to 12 hours. And this would be across all card brands if we put you on the American Express Opt Blue program, which is very similar to the Level 3 program, but not as aggressive. So let's take a look at our transaction for today. As you can see, we give you a bird's eye view of all of the different transactions. You're able to see your customer information, first and last 4 digits of the card. You'll know exactly where in the process the transaction is at. So in this case, we are pre-authorizing. You can also see that we reference the sales order number, the work order number, the invoice number, depending on where you're at. And if I click on the transaction ID, which is the exact same transaction ID you saw on Sage, notice the level of information that I'm able to show you directly from our portal. Now, this is all happening live, ladies and gentlemen. I have not only the card and customer information, we go down to the line level detail, and this is all of the information that we are providing Visa and MasterCard on our merchant's behalf in order to obtain the level 3 rate. Now, you have to be curious about how much money you're leaving on the table by not taking advantage of level 3. Okay, so the other thing I did while everybody was presenting, I created an invoice and used Paperless Office to print out my invoices. Now, this is the invoice, and I'm switching gears now to see the customer side of things. And you can see my customer has received an invoice via email through Paperless Office. Now, this invoice is a crystal form. You can definitely customize it and make it as fancy as you'd like. This is what we've added, a Pay Here button, which makes it very simple for your customers to now pay for any outstanding invoices. Now, you can see when I click on the Pay Here button, the invoice information will automatically upload for me, and now I have the option to make a payment. One of the requests that we received from our merchants was to be able to pay for more than one invoice or pay for a statement. Now, that functionality is being completed as we speak. Let me just move my GoToMeeting. Oops. I'll try from here. So notice how on the screen I have multiple invoices available. So I can pick and choose. The functionality is not complete yet. It should be finished within the next 60 to 90 days, but we will give everybody the option to choose the invoices that they would like to pay. And they can pay the full amount or a custom amount. Now in this case, I'm going to go ahead and choose full amount, and I'll just say continue. Notice how I click on continue, and now I'm given options. Enter credit card number, pay with bank account, save the payment method into a secured vault for future use, or use a previously saved payment method. I'm just going to go ahead and enter a brand new card number because I've gotten myself in trouble using the old ones in the past. So let's see. Notice how there's really nothing out of the ordinary. I'm basically entering my card information with my CVV code, and now I'm going to submit my payment. I'm not going to save it this time, and my transaction is complete. My customer will now receive an email confirming the transaction is complete with a thank you note. You can definitely customize it, and a transaction ID. Same transaction ID that is being created by our portal, and also submitting all of the level 3 data that we require to get you the lower rate. Now, what's happening back at your Sage instance? So I mentioned to you that you can apply payments against invoices through cash receipts. Now, what we've also added with cash receipts is the APS Click to Pay button, which will also upload any payments that were made through Click to Pay, and all you have to do is click on this button. Now, this is the payment that that our customer just made. You can see it's the $84. And if I go to my cash receipts entry, all I have to do is go to my customer, and I'll be able to see all of the different invoices that were recently paid through Click to Pay. So you can see, ladies and gentlemen, again, and I hate to repeat myself, but the automation, security, and compliance is all there. Now, we want to make sure that you understand that we are PCI compliant. You receive the PCI compliance assistance at no charge. We do not use a third-party company similar to Paya. I think they use TrustWave. There is absolutely no fee for getting you compliant and making sure you remain compliant. Now, what I applied right now was the Click to Pay payment. I really don't go too much through the actual applying a payment directly against an invoice, because the process is identical to what you do right now. So you choose your customer, you choose credit card as a deposit type. Here's my next entry number. And let's just say this particular customer is paying the full balance. If I go to the lines, I can just choose all of my invoices. And as you can see, I'm doing nothing out of the ordinary. Now I have my payment method here. Remember I mentioned you could choose from a list of cards, add a card on the fly, or edit, depending on the security settings, and that is it. Notice how I really didn't do anything outside of the ordinary. Now, to conclude my side of the presentation, just want to point out the additional features that you receive with American Payment Solutions. We do not charge for any type of credit card processing module, installation, implementation, training, maintenance, or support. Level 3 processing is completely automated. Ladies and gentlemen, if nothing else captured your attention, this is where I really want you to focus. If you are not obtaining level 3 rates with your current processor, allow me the opportunity to provide you with a free audit of your current rates and fees and show you exactly how much money you're leaving on the table. Now, the other items that you see here, I mentioned during my presentation, and this pretty much concludes my side of things. Adrienne, I'd like to hand it back over to you.